Everyone, that Gary is the Director of Communications for the City of South Fulton. And so you can take it away. Thanks, Gary.
Wonderful. Thank you, each of you, so much for allowing me to speak with you, be with you tonight. This is, as I was saying earlier.
Hold on, Gary. Oh. Somebody's got, you got your, can you, everybody mute themselves, please? Because it's a little background.
Everybody,
okay.
Gary.
All right. All right, Gary. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. As I was sharing earlier, it's a very exciting time for our department, and I'll share why as we get into this. But as I was kind of putting together and updating this presentation, and Max had said he was a graduate and a proud alumni of South Fulton U, I was going to redo my presentation, and I thought, why? Let's do some South Fulton U tonight. And South Fulton U is our Citizens Academy that was started at the request of former Mayor William Bill Edwards, and we have done 3 sessions. And we've had, we were going to do in person, and we were not able to because of COVID. So we really opened it up, and we had 45 to 50 people in each of those sessions. So whereas we've done maybe 60 or 75 people in person, we've done about 150, twice that. So it's been very well received, and we look forward to growing it and doing it every year. Another just little side note, I was looking at the date there, and I remember a January 28th, about 36 years ago. I was a senior in high school, and it snowed in Georgia that day. I was in Noonan, and I was at home, and I was home with my mother, and I remembered that the space shuttle was going to be launching that day. And I said, let's watch it together. You know, this is exciting because my father was a Delta mechanic, and anything avionics or space, I just love. And so we were watching it, and that was the day that the Challenger actually tragically exploded. So that date stuck out with me, and that date was doubly tough because I did have to go to work that evening. And I worked at Sears at Shannon Mall. I was assistant receiving manager there that afternoon. And I drove in, parked, and believe it or not, my car got stolen that day. So being here with y'all this January 28th is a lot better than that one. That's all I'm going to say. This is South Fulton U. I am director, just my pleasure to serve as director of communications and external affairs. Can you I'm sure can see the screen?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I want to jump in with our mission. We formed this mission and put it in place about a year ago. And as you look at communication and external affairs, there are 2 different things there. I like community affairs. I like to talk about it as community relations. And so a little bit about me. Let me step back. I was born at South Fulton Hospital in East Point. Spent part of my life at the intersection of Riverdale Road. I mean, excuse me, 285 and 1941. We moved to Noonan not long after that, and that's where I grew up, a proud Noonan Cougar. I went to Clayton State. I went to University of West Georgia, where I got my bachelor's in mass communication with a focus in journalism. I went straight through to the University of Georgia and got my master's degree in journalism. Spent 10 years as a newspaper reporter, and then decided at the time I had a son and a daughter on the way, and I decided that I both wanted to feed them and see them, and you don't do that in a newspaper job very easily. So I got into corporate communication. And did that for a brief period in Atlanta with the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning engineers. I then went to Southwire Company in Carrollton for 16, 17 years and built a communication and community relations program there. And that's where I really fell in love with community relations, because to me, that is communications in its purest form if you do it correctly. I then had a chance to be director of strategic communication at my alma mater, West Georgia. I did that for a couple of years. I struck out on my own with my own consultancy, and I learned very quickly that when you're starting out, you have to be 20% communication person, 80% salesperson, and that was just not who I was, and probably not the best timing because two of my children were in college. So I joined the city of South Fulton, and I've been here a little over 2 years. And so we are working to inform and engage residents to build a better South Fulton. That is the communication and external affairs, community relations part of the equation, both parts right there. And I believe that I'm a man of economy of words when I write, maybe not when I speak, but I think missions should be very short and to the point so that you really are focused on what you're doing. And that's what ours is. I want to talk just a second about the communication flow, because we talk about a corporate communication department, but what is it that we are actually trying to achieve in our roles? And it starts with a set of values, the things that drive us, the things that we hold dear. And we bring those to life by setting goals and a strategy for achieving those. And then we strategically share those goals to a set of diverse audiences, our stakeholders. For us, it's residents, yourselves as business people, the faith-based community, other governments, regulators at the state and federal levels. We have to have engaging messaging, because if we're going to achieve the ultimate end right there, which is deriving a specific action, we have to engage people and we have to be easily understood. And so that's a lot to talk about. This is what it looks like. Values drive goals, drive messaging. We use tools and partners to get those to audiences to drive action. And that's a quick tutorial in corporate communication. So let's start with our city goals. These were set forth in the 2020 to 2023 strategic plan. And our goals as defined were to invest in strong teams, make sure our infrastructure and finances are solid, build on collaboration and quality of life, certainly support and drive economic development, because that's key, of course, as you all know, to the success of our city, as is an efficient government. Now, how do we, as a communications group, support those goals? Well, I thought it was best to look at our major goals and how we've achieved or what we're working on. And so for the developing strong teams part, our job is to make sure everybody on the team is up to speed with what is expected, with what we're working on, with what is coming up in terms of policy or events. And so we've developed an internal newsletter that comes out every month to explain some of the things that are going on. And we feel also, and this goes back in my corporate experience, that if people know what they're doing and they get regular information, they are better equipped to do their job. So a newsletter is great, but not enough. We send out a daily email blast called the Daily Drip, and one of our specialists came up with that title, and she puts it out every day. And the thought is sort of the water cooler, except ours is the coffee pot. We're standing around that Daily Drip talking through this email. And so those are two things we put in place last year. We developed an employee feedback tool, which is pretty simple. That goes back also in my corporate comm days to people, again, if they're informed, work better. If they feel they have buy-in or heard, they work better. And so this is a tool where they can submit comments, questions, concerns, and we address those. Of course, we're working on an intranet, which we will debut this year. And we provide media training for the key roles here, people who may have reason to be in contact with the media. Growing the infrastructure, we came up with an idea, and it's an icon right there on our homepage, and it's called Where Your Money Goes. And it is a blog of photos and updates on the major capital improvements projects we're working on. Like, I'm sure everyone remembers the Cascade Road Bridge. We regularly covered that, along with the rebuilding of the South Fulton Tennis Center. That blog is, I'm sorry to say, a bit behind, but we've got a new person in place to work on that. Collaboration, quality of life, of course, with engagement in our community affairs. This is very much a place where we're busy. We developed the South Fulton U. We created the Now You Know video series, which I'm going to show you a bit about in a little while. We launched the South Fulton Beautification Project that will, hopefully we will be a partner and work alongside Keep South Fulton Beautiful, but this is the city's effort. We established a community relations program, published a residence guide, which is available right there on our website. This week, actually Monday, we launched an HOA listserv. We have reached out to all the HOAs in the city and asked the leadership to give us their contact information. And the thought there is we put out a news release or we put out messaging. As soon as that news release is sent to the media, we send it to this listserv, and the HOA leaders cascade down to their members. And that way we're talking directly with residents. I, again, am a newspaper man, but I'm very disheartened with media. And I really want to find a way where we can talk directly to our constituents. I have a friend who I worked with, and he taught me media training. He taught me crisis communication. He's a 6-time Emmy Award winner with WXIA. His name is Blair Meeks. He now has a dream job. He is the media relations person for Georgia Tech. And we were talking one day and really both downhearted. And he said, but let me tell you, Gary, I want to ask you, where do you think I get the news that means the most to me? And I thought, well, I have no idea. He said, it's my municipal newsletter. And that really struck me very hard and kind of knocked me for a loop, because he said, if there's a movie on the green, my family can go see that. If there's a sports league or music or art lessons, my kids can go do that. And I learn about it. If there's a rezoning right down the street that might affect my property value and quality of life, I'd better go to it. And that's how I find out about these things. So that really helped me form sort of the mission and some of the things we're doing in this department. We are working on a community ambassador board. And that also goes back to my corporate days where we, at Southwire in Carrollton and at 35 locations across the country that Southwire had in terms of manufacturing, we would bring in a group of community leaders, community representatives once a month, once a quarter sometimes, and share with them, here's what we told you we were going to do, here's what we did, here's what we're going to do in the future, and now what do you hear that we may need to know in the community? It's a great two-way communication there. We will develop a podcast this year, and we're working to develop, I call it a TV experience because it won't be anything like Fulton County TV. We don't have the resources, but we are going to rely on either Vimeo or YouTube to build programming that is regular and organized and in the form of programs. Economic development, we developed a strategic communication and marketing plan. You see that's 22. We actually worked on that last year. It is with the city manager now. So I consider that the ones in blue, if I didn't explain it, I'm sorry, are things we've done, and the black ones are the things that we're still working on. So I'm counting that as a victory because we've got it done, and it will be approved very soon, hopefully. As part of that, we've done a style guide and branding guide, and we are working, and we're very excited. And I'll share tonight, I can't share it with you, but I'll share news that we are developing a new corporate logo for the city so that our city seal can assume its official position as an official symbol for documents. And most cities have corporate logos, so we are working on one, and we've got a final draft that we are working on approval for. And then we will work to increase communication between the cities of South Fulton County, our friends and neighbors, because we do need to come together more and solve issues that go across city lines. Efficient government, ours was to make sure we were doing our jobs, basically. Issue a minimum of 27 press releases per quarter. When I got here, that one confused me a bit because I can actually do that in 2 or 3 days. And it achieves nothing if you're not delivering that content. And so we have focused on developing that metric to be story placements instead of press releases generated. And that is so complicated, I won't even bother to go into it tonight, but it's something that we're tracking and finding out each place a news release hits. It can be a TV broadcast at 4, 6, 5, and 6, 11, and then again in the morning. So that's 5 placements. If it's on their website, it's a placement. If the media tweets about it, that's a placement. If they send an Instagram message, that's a placement. And each of those have measurable audiences. So that tells you exactly who you're getting in front of and the potential for distributing messaging. Our Twitter followers, we were supposed to get to 900 by 2021. We're at about 3,000. Instagram, same story. Facebook, same story. And the unique page views, we were supposed to double. And we revamped our website at the end of 2020. And those unique visits are almost double that goal today as well. So we are really, I'm blessed with a great team that is making these things happen. And I want to introduce you to that team. I am director. I have an incredible senior manager, Jacqueline Howell, who I stole from Riverdale. Taryn Love is our community relations specialist. And she came, we brought her over from APD. Darius Goodman, Taryn's position is a little unique in that most cities do not have a community relations person, a community engagement person. And that has worked so well in my career to have that person there, that this is the way you get folks, the best way to communicate and the best way to inform and engage, and the best way to build a quality of life is have people working with you who live in the city that you serve. So her job is to create opportunities for connections and for people to be involved. Another unique position, you see media relations, and that you say there's nothing unique about that, Gary, but he's our reporter. He walks around and asks people and bugs people daily for stories. What have you got? What are you working on? With a goal of we want to have 3 to 4 stories placed in the major media every week. And that's pretty ambitious. And people ask me, how do you combat the negative messaging, the negative conversations in social media? And I surprise them by saying, largely I ignore it because I'm either giving it credence or extending its reach. My job is to put out twice as much good news. And I regularly get on Google and go to the news tab, very simple measure, and I count stories. And if we've got twice as many good ones, we've had a good run for that period. And we're really holding up that goal. And Darius has joined us. He was a reporter with the Atlanta Voice. And he is the one that's generating, and I help him because media is my background. We work very strongly and very well together to get that word out. We placed stories this week about the $450 monthly housing allowance pilot program that we just introduced to encourage our public safety personnel to live in the city. We what did we launch? It all runs together. We launched something today. We are working with WXIA to do a story on our new our police department has a new app called City Guards, which lets people report non-emergency situations. They can see all the city services, they can pay fines, they can do everything through the app. And so we are launching that, and we are working with WXIA to do a story, and hopefully that will filter across the other channels. And then Mike Smith, some cities have these, some don't. Visual media is a very fancy way of saying photography, videography. And Mike used to do freelancing with WXIA, and he has his own photography, videography business, but he wanted as I said, I did, the comfort of a regular job and benefits. So he's here with us. He's been with us for about 3 weeks and has great ideas, and he's really hit the ground running. And he is going to develop a lot of that engaging content, video and photography wise, that supports the rest of the team. My job here is to lead the overall communication and community relations strategy, make sure, and I tell these guys and told them when I hired them, and I regularly remind them, we are a 5-person department, but we are actually, I'm sort of the CEO, and they are each president of a 1-man division. And so I help set the tone for what we do, but I rely on them to come up with ideas that really impress me and will impress you. And they have a lot of leeway. I believe in what I call the Jimmy Buffett style of leadership. If you're familiar with Jimmy the singer, I love Jimmy, but he hasn't written a great song in 30 years. All of his songs are old. He's not a great musician. He's not a great singer, but he sells out Phillips State Farm Arena and places like that in 2 or 3, 4 minutes, because he has a message and a style that people love. But what he does is hire the best musicians he can get, surrounds himself with them. He provides the direction with the songs and how each show flows, but he gets out of the way and lets them support him and do their jobs. And so that's kind of my job in leading the strategy. I do collaborate with my peers, the fellow department heads here, city manager. I do management, media relations and media training, supervise all of our messaging and branding. And then I was appointed the liaison between the mayor and council and the staff, so that there's a one voice in anything that needs to be communicated to the mayor and council. I do, and then vice versa. Jacqueline is my digital strategist. She manages the strategy, the growth, the analytics. She's the one that monitors all the digital social media next door conversations you see, website and app, and manages our website. And we did the redesign of it, and now we're just going in and cleaning up some things and putting things in a place that makes better sense than maybe where they are now. She manages our phone app. She did our event planning. We are sort of getting out of event planning and focusing on communications and supporting another division that's leading event planning. She helps me with coordination of our team tasks, and she helps me with messaging. Taryn, I've been through a lot of that. The South Fulton Voice is our newsletter. She was in charge of that. We have shifted that to Darius so that she has more time to focus on community relations, and he can develop the news of the newsletter. My goal is to somehow create a magazine. And we are starting to turn our digital newsletter into more of a magazine feel. Stay tuned and watch that growth with us. Taryn is, of course, our community relations person. She facilitates SFU. She is our planner for the beautification project, one of the big projects we're working on now. And we wanted to do it for MLK Day, but some things put us behind. So now we're focusing on Earth Day. And there is a community garden at the South Fulton Tennis Center that has fallen into disrepair. We have done some clearing there, and then we're going to invite, we've got about 94, 95 people signed up and we're going to make that garden come back to life, and other gardens within the city as well. We just approved, and that was another story we pushed this week. The city council approved a partnership with the Atlanta Community Food Bank to provide about 500 families with meals each month through a mobile pantry this year, because we do have a serious food insecurity issue in the area. And so we hope that we will do our part with community gardens, and hopefully that will extend into grow boxes, that we can provide some of those for people so they can do their own gardens. So that's just a little bit of what the beautification project is. And when we were working with that garden for MLK Day, it just hit me, and it seemed simple, no brainer, that we call that project now the Dream Garden, because people are coming together, working together, and really making that dream come true. Taryn also assists us with messaging. Darius is again our reporter. He is working on some stories. In the news business, we call them enterprise stories, and they are pretty much stories you create that drive action and that educate and inform and help people. News you can use here. He's doing a day in code enforcement to show people what that's like. He just did a piece for the latest newsletter on how Parks and Rec can help you with those New Year's resolutions and keep you focused and keep you driven to stay on that exercise program. He maintains our media list, which is pretty extensive now, and growing more so every day. And we together work on the relationships. You can't just send something to a media list and think that's going to get you coverage. We work with reporters. I talk to them regularly. I get to know them just like anyone else. How's your son doing today? It's a relationship, and you work that relationship. You build it on trust and honesty and mutual respect. And we work at that very hard. And then Derek does the South Fulton Voice also, which is our newsletter. Mike, there you go, video production, editing, photography. He is rebuilding our YouTube page. He's done an excellent job. We just posted here and there. And when meeting was streamed live, when it was finished, that recording just got placed randomly. He has gone through and taken our channel and put it into sub-channels and organized it a lot better so that it's easier to find things. Our YouTube address is youtube.com/City of South Fulton, not hard to remember. And then a very exciting thing, we found some space where we're going to build a very small studio at the Southwest Arts Center and start doing some podcasting as well. Now, how can you take advantage of all this we're doing? Well, we want you to connect with us, and we've made it fairly easy. This is our newly designed website. I am very big on not making you scroll, and I'm very big on not making you click. So if you've noticed, we went in with our Civic Plus, our web provider, and we redesigned this, and I asked for 2 rows of tabs at the top. They said, that's a lot. And I said, yes, but if I put tabs there, a lot of them, that brings things closer to the front and makes them easier to find. In addition, we put the icons right there. So if you look, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18 bits of information right there without even having to scroll. And when you scroll below that, all you get to are maybe a couple of banner promotions, a calendar, and then a news section. And that is all that's on our website. And that will take you, by clicking one of these, to the information you need. If you click on that little icon there at the bottom left called Connect, this comes up. This is how you connect with us: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Nextdoor is an amazing opportunity for us. There's 108,000 residents in the city of South Fulton. We have about a third of those on Nextdoor, which is truly amazing. There's our newsletter that we would love for you to subscribe to. If you click on any of these icons on the web page, they will take you to where you can sign up for all of these. And then there's the It's My Town mobile app. And we purchased that and started using it, and COVID hit us. And part of the attractiveness of that app is you can go on and say you want to plan a weekend for you and a significant other. You can go on and go to find where the Wolf Creek Amphitheater is and see what's happening that week. You, from the same portal, can buy tickets. You can check the weather. You can check local restaurants, even make reservations with them. You can get an Uber to drive you back and forth. You can buy flowers or chocolates or spark plugs. That's a long story for that significant other. But you can do that all without on a laptop having to go back to Google, back, and back. And this person that developed that is from Alpharetta. And we've helped him actually through testimonials and through suggestions to how he can improve the app. He is now in several cities in Metro Atlanta, several cities in Georgia, and his reach actually goes out to the San Bernardino Police Department, and we helped him get that account. So he is up and coming, and that is a great tool. We found out in COVID that really didn't make any sense because nobody was looking for events or Ubers or reservations. So we used the communication function. It will send you real-time alerts and news to your phone. The beauty of this, and the reason we liked it, is you don't sign up for it. You go get the app and you put in your zip code, and that's how it tells you where everything is. You do not put your email in. You do not put your cell phone in. You give it no information. And so that was an attractive thing, and to me, very innovative. And Ron Freeman, the developer, reminds me every time we get together. We had lunch yesterday, that at the first meeting, I was so really enamored with this. I said, let's go do some things no one's ever done with this. And we're starting to do that. I'm trained as a journalist to ask who, what, why, where, when, and how. And that's great. But my favorite two questions are what if and why not? What if we did this? Why are we not doing that? And if you can tell me a reason why we're not or we are, that's great. But if you can't, then we need to be going and figuring out how to do it. Here is the It's My Town, a new advertisement we just this week launched for it with the QR code. We make it easier for you to get it. In fact, if anybody wants to pull out their cell phone and click on that now, feel free. I can pause for a minute. I'll actually come back and put that up later. And I know I'm running long, Rich. I apologize. I will wrap this up. Our residence guide, we launched this late last year, maybe in the summer. And it is, of course, a guide to all the services, everything you need to know about South Fulton. We definitely, I see now, need to update that. That's a note I will take with the new mayor. But this takes you through who does what in the city. And then, of course, things we don't do in the county or the state government. There's the contacts. We did this, it was in summer because we launched it about the time the Fulton Industrial Boulevard corridor came into the city. And so with so many new businesses now calling South Fulton home, we tweaked this and created a new business guide as well for new businesses. Our branding guide, again, will set the logo, it will set uses. It will, as you see there, are our primary colors that we use in everything. Our color palette, it sets fonts. It is a true branding guide that will then be used to develop a true marketing guide. We just finished a communication guide, which I talked about earlier. This is an appendix of that. Some things we're kind of proud of in addition to the residence guide and South Fulton U. There was some questions on the council of what we were doing to help with, case in point was the fireworks and how we were communicating what the fireworks regulations were in the city. And I thought we need videos to do these things. And then the ATV situation got worse and worse, and we needed to communicate where and when you can use ATVs. And so I went to the police chief, Chief Meadows, and said, how can we develop, can you work with me to develop a video series? And it hit me that we need to talk about some laws. And when we get caught speeding or doing other laws, we say, well, we didn't know that. And so we're telling you up front, so now you know. And that has grown into not just laws, but it's grown into holiday tips that you can use to keep yourself safe. 4th of July, New Year's, we'll do a video there. And then it got into a very serious mode with all of the unrest with police cases across the country. And so I thought we needed to do a piece on our police training. And we did that, but something that Chief Meadows said struck me very hard. And he said that in the George Floyd case, no training would have helped at all. That person did not need to be in that job. And so I thought, what are we doing to recruit the best officers? And we did a piece on that. We did a piece called The Report Card, which showed what he did. And I want to share that with you tonight. Can you hear that?
When I became chief of police nearly 3 years ago, one of the main concerns on residents' minds was our city's crime rate. I immediately put serious resources behind drastically cutting our numbers. We've made significant headway with double-digit decreases in serious crimes the last 2 years. In fact, we saw a 17% decrease in overall crime last year. Let's take a look. The total number of crimes reported in the city dropped from 3,985 in 2019 to 3,318 last year. Crimes against people, murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and similar offenses were down 10%. Battery and assault cases fell by more than half, and reported rapes were down 23%. Property crimes, burglary, thefts, and damage to property declined by 18%. In fact, reported burglary cases decreased by 44%, while vehicle thefts and break-ins dropped by 23% and 39% respectively. Officers continued to crack big cases in 2021. In recent months, South Fulton police have busted a drugstore with 64 arrests and a meth lab tied to a Mexican drug cartel. 78 pounds of meth were seized. Officers also stopped a street racing event where they charged 90 people and seized 45 vehicles. A tip from a 16-year-old victim resulted in the bust of a sex trafficking operation. With more officers joining the force this year, the department will have more opportunities for proactive patrolling and community policing, which should drive crime stats down even further. Remember those long past school days when you anxiously awaited a report card? Sometimes the news was good and sometimes, well, the annual report is our department's report card, and I'm extremely proud to share it with you. I'm also proud of the team of officers, detectives, and staff who made it happen. There's more work to be done, but we're headed in the right direction. Now you know.
So yeah, that's the Now You Know, and we're very proud of that. That one was one of the longer ones. They're usually shorter and more to the point, but that has been a very effective series for us, and so much so that we did 12 last year, and I've charged Mike, and we're going to work together to do 24 and take it from just police to include some fire videos, some code enforcement videos, some zoning and permitting videos, some parks and rec videos, some economic development, and just provide quick snapshots of all that the city is doing. Top stories of 2021, and this is right near the end of what I've got to share. Does anybody remember this?
Please welcome from the city of South Fulton, Georgia Fire and Rescue Department, President of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall, for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was jealous she got the fist bump of the president on the way up and on the way back. But she knocked me for a loop because we didn't know till about 5 days before she was going to do that. And so we had to kick in gear and get a lot of TV and a lot of other media planned. And then she told nobody she was going to sign that. And that blew the doors open. And we were getting calls, not just from across Georgia, not just from across the United States. We talked to the BBC, we talked to Australian media, we talked to all European media, there were Asian media. She did interviews with everybody. She interviewed for a year. That story went on, and we managed that for her, and all of the goodwill that it showed for the city of South Fulton and brought us. Our top stories of the year: in May, we brought Fulton Industrial Boulevard in. My understanding is that's 30,000 some new employees, $19 million in revenue for the city. We created in the year before a $17 million URA, Urban Redevelopment Authority, to rehabilitate some of our parks, our fire stations, and a lot of our capital projects, capital properties. And we spent 5.7 million of that this year. Last year, we did a $16 million paving initiative where we paved, I think it was 170 miles of roads. We hired a new fire chief, one of the best in the state. All sorts of public and safety initiatives, from getting the purchase of 3 new fire trucks. Most of our fire trucks, the life of a fire truck is 15 years. A lot of ours are 20 and 25 years. We have one that is being fitted as we speak. We have 2 more being built that will be delivered in June, and 2 ladder trucks that hopefully will be in 18 months. And that will really put our fleet where it needs to be. A lot of safety equipment for firefighters, mental health training and counseling for firefighters, police vehicles to ensure that they have reliable transportation, and a lot of police equipment that helps them do their jobs. We, again, with all that was going on last year, we bought things like active holsters so that when your gun is drawn, your body cam kicks on. When you get within a quarter mile of a scene, your body cam kicks on. If you fall and become prone and cannot move and get up, your body cam kicks on. And so that protects just both the officer and anyone around him. We created an emergency management division to manage us through all the bad weather, through all the accidents, through all the natural disasters and tragedies. That is headed by our former interim fire chief, Sterling Jones. And I've been working with him a lot lately on weather. And we are working, there's a major fire advisory out for the next 2 days as people are using fires more and more, and things are dry right now. And so we've been communicating that today. Anytime there's a watch or a warning, my team goes into action, and we are communicating every alert we get through our digital channels, which again, you can sign up for at that Connect tab. All right, that was a lot. I hope it was informative. Any questions from anybody?
I don't think there would be, Gary.
You covered quite a lot.
Well said. Gary, if you would stop sharing.
Hi,
Oh, yes, sir.
Gary. Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you just tell me exactly again what South Fulton U is?
So South Fulton University is, it's a citizens academy, and former Mayor Edwards started the Fulton County Citizens Academy, and he wanted one here. And we go in over, I think it's up to 12 weeks. Every fall, we start in August, we end in October. And every Monday night, we have, we start with an orientation in which the mayor and council and city manager provide snapshots of council members cover what their goals are in their district, what they're working on. The mayor sets the overall tone of the goals and what we're doing in the city, and the city manager talks about our operations. Then each week, a different team, finance, communications, parks and rec, we do, and they're 1.5-hour sessions. They start at 6 and go to 7:30, and they cover basically what I've done tonight. And sometimes we do 2 departments a night. Sometimes a department has 2 weeks to cover. It just depends on the breadth of their responsibilities. We advertise it in July, and we take applications. If we are able to go in person for the first time this fall, it will again be 20 to 25 people. If we're having to do virtually again because of the pandemic, we will do about 50 people.
Right. Thank you.
I have a question, Gary. Can you share your brand guidelines? I'm so glad that you guys have some finally with us. Is it like a 4-page, like a big guideline, or just like a 1-pager?
Oh no, it's not a 1-pager. It's not burdensomely long, but it is probably 10 to a dozen pages. A lot of that are things that you can do with the city seal, things you can't do. It is a lot of it that what's set up now is definitely branding guide and guidelines of what, again, a lot of it is official uses and things you can do and can't do with the official seal, with other city marks. That new logo will be a part of that, what colors you can use. And so it just sets out to make sure everything is uniform and that message is as unified as it can be.
Right, I'm very familiar with them. Well, one question, are you guys planning on putting any communication on billboards around the city for things like, I don't know, keeping the community clean, or any kind of particular messaging or programming in that respect? Like
yes, sir.
Keeping our corridors clean, or entire city, anything like that?
That is one of the tools that will be used in the beautification process, the beautification project. We definitely, and that started, I can't leave things alone. That started with actually Councilwoman Rao in a meeting saying, can we come up with some anti-littering messaging? And I thought, well, it doesn't just stop there. Let's stop the littering, but let's work on the beautifying. And what can we do as a city to encourage that and provide opportunities? So billboards will be part of that. One thing that we're really looking to use, and COVID kind of sidetracked us there, is the posters at MARTA shelters. Just catching a lot of people where they spend time idly.
Great. So all kind of messaging can come out on any of those platforms, safety, anything that you were talking about, I guess, it sounds like.
Yes, sir. We are in a point of really developing a strategy in our department where we decide there's some messaging that we need to communicate, and then we sit down with a checklist, and we get together as a team for 15, 20 minutes every morning in a huddle to talk about what we're doing that day. And we're about to start a weekly editorial meeting where we come up with this messaging and we say, okay, here's the core messaging. Which of your channels does this fit on? Is there a need for a video? Well, not at this point. Is there a need for billboards? That might not play as well there. So we talk through every possible tool to make sure that we're strategically hitting the message points we need to be.
One last question. We have, like you said, Nextdoor is great, and there's a lot of people that communicate about all sorts of things for the city of South Fulton there. If a group of people have a big gripe or a message that they want to convey to the city, are you the person that they should talk to? Like, who should any citizen talk to?
We can certainly serve as a front door for that. If it's not something that's in our area of responsibility, I believe in customer service no matter what your job is. And so I don't let people off with a I don't know. I take time to find out who the person is. We did that today. We had Mike, our videographer, got his phone installed, and he got a call that he thought was a test, and it was a lady asking how can she determine where, if she has a septic tank, where it is located. And we determined that's the county health board, and we got her the number and connected her. And so Ron, the developer of the app, reminded me yesterday we were shooting a video and someone came to the door and we were closed for COVID. And I opened the door and said, how can I help you? And I didn't let it go till we had her an answer. So I believe in that. And if people reach us, then we will get them connected.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
I'm sorry I ran you guys long. As you can tell, I hope you can tell I love what I do. And we've got a lot going on for a 5-member team.
No doubts. And as we talked about, we will be working together as far as Cascade BMA and our message, and of course working with our merchants in our respective area. So